Researchers have developed electronic face tattoos to monitor employee performance. No, not actually a tattoo. It's a small electrode that would be applied to your forehead, no thicker than a piece of paper, and would allow people to have access to your brainwaves through an EEG. EEGs are usually pretty clunky and sweat can impact them. You may have seen people have to have their head shaved for some of them. Now, the reasons for making them are to monitor employees while they're at work, to make them safer. However, that's probably not how they're going to be used. Ideally, this would be used for employees who work in very high-stress jobs, for example, pilots and air traffic control. If somebody is becoming overly stressed, an EEG monitor could report that. It can track eye movements. It can track how much sweat is on their face. It can actually monitor their brainwaves in real time. If somebody has become tired or overstressed, then they could be removed and cycled out, and more people could be called in. This would establish a baseline for each individual. It's relatively inexpensive and would use AI to decode their brainwaves. It could also track their general performance over a baseline that's established, what an employee should be thinking like. Now, do understand that we've done an awful lot with EEGs. They can even be used and decoded in order to have an internal monologue that can be listened to by others. Yes, that can be done. It's largely been considered as a way to allow people to communicate who cannot otherwise communicate. Yes, in order to do anything as complex as listening to someone's internal monologue, you actually need to track them. They do that by having people read a book as their brainwaves are monitored and decoded so you can find the same patterns, and that does work. I, however, could very easily see a world where that becomes standard for employment. If you want to work here, we need access to your brain. I could see it being used as an employment metric to see how people are performing over time, and if they drop below the baseline, they could get fired. You may think that sounds like it's sci-fi. Surely no one would invade privacy that way, but have you met employers? I've only worked a few jobs where I'm actually watched on a camera and somebody comes out and tells me to look more busy when I'm leaning against the bench when there is nobody there. Now, being watched is pretty much a deal breaker for employment for me, but we are living in a rapidly changing world. I could see this feasibly being important for high-stress jobs just to establish whether or not somebody is overtired. But that doesn't really help when you're working overtime because you have to. It doesn't help when there just aren't enough employees around, and that impacts safety. We already know that there are systematic issues in many fields, and that includes the medical field where people are working long hours and mistakes are made. Then it could feasibly be used to establish when somebody just needs to take a break. But we all know how the world really works, and if somebody is falling consistently below the baseline, I could see something like this being implemented to determine if they should be employed. What do you think? Are my concerns about the implementation of this kind of technology just overblown?